All right, guys, so I ran across this very bizarre, disturbing, and cringy segment on MSNBC/MSDNC featuring Nicolle Wallace, who is one of their more boring and less talented news anchors. Not that anybody at MSDNC actually has any real talent, but she's probably one of the worst, alongside Joy Reid. And she does this segment in which she takes ass kissing to a whole new level. Take a look.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, you see how difficult this is for this administration. I mean, I'm a Fauci groupie. I'm a thrice vaccinated mask adherent. I buy KN95 masks by the, caseload. They're in every pocket. I wear them everywhere except when I sit down.
Bruh. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. I cannot believe this woman on national TV just said that she was a Fauci groupie. A Fauci groupie. A Fauci groupie. I wonder how her husband feels about that. Right? I wonder how her husband feels about that statement. Guys, this is just a friendly reminder, right? Just in case some of us haven't learned from the Travis Scott incident. Hero worship is not good. Okay, hero worship is bad. Okay, hero worship is bad. You cannot ass kiss more than that, right? Is it not something that bothers you guys when the mainstream media is kissing the ass of unelected bureaucrats in this country, right? Okay, listen. Here's the thing, right? Even if you take everything that Fauci says seriously, right, and you're following all the things that he says. Why would you ever go on TV, right? Somebody that's supposed to be a mainstream news anchor and call yourself a Fauci groupie, right? A Fauci groupie. Because as a journalist, a so-called journalist, you're supposed to ask questions, right? You're supposed to be skeptical. You're supposed to be holding our government and our officials accountable. How can you hold them accountable when you're a groupie for them, right? I mean, again, how can you hold people accountable when you're a groupie for them? It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, what's up with these Democrats and using these terms, more specifically sexual terms, to describe their love for politicians or people in government, right? Y'all remember Cuomo-sexuals, right? You know, all these Democrats, these liberals, these people in the media came out and said, I'm a Cuomo-sexual.
People online are falling in love with him. I'm not gonna lie, those people include me. My Tinder profile now lists me as a Cuomo-sexual.
Okay, meanwhile, Cuomo has all types of scandals going on in the background, right? Didn't look too good to be coming out and saying you're a Cuomo-sexual considering the things that he was doing, okay? And, with the way this pandemic is going and the way things are evolving, it probably not a good look to come out here and call yourself a Fauci groupie, right? And, what's funny is that I feel like as a man could never get away with saying something like that, right? Like, imagine if I said something like that about Miss Rochelle Walensky, the CDC director. If I said that Michelle Walensky, I'm a groupie for her, right? Or she turns me on, right? People will be looking at me like, what? Right? They'll be looking at me like I'm a creepy person. Okay, I'm a creeper for saying something like that. And they would be right to make those assumptions. Okay, because I would never describe my approvals for somebody in a way that can be interpreted as sexual in some way, right? As some type of fetish, right? I wouldn't do that. But again, I find it fascinating how these people in the liberal media, they used that type of terminology to describe their, approval of certain figures in government. I mean, you people in the media should not have that type of admiration for government officials, right? Where it's to the point where you're calling yourself a groupie, right? Again, that to me is just weird. And it really takes away from your credibility as a so-called journalist. Not that anybody on MSDNC had any credibility in the first place, but I'm just saying, right? This is not a good look for a so-called journalist. It's funny because she talked about, mask and all that stuff, right? And she talks about how she always wear her mask, and hey, that's her priority. If she wants to do that, that's on her. If she feels like that's her best way of protecting herself, that's on her. But again, I found it fascinating. She said she always wears it except when she sits down, right? And I'm like, well, what changes when you sit down, right? What changes, right? I don't know. Does the virus go away when you sit down, right? I think it still spread even if you're standing up or sitting down. So I really didn't understand that point. But hey, that's the same logic that most restaurants in these liberal states are using, right, when it comes to mask policy. So hey, I kind of understand where she gets that from. But again, these are the same people that say that people on the right are in a cult, right? They say people on the right are in a cult, specifically Trump supporters. Trump supporters are in a cult, right? But they come out and they say stuff like this, things that, in my opinion, sound very cult-like, okay? Because one thing I can say in regards to this pandemic, if you want to talk about cult-like behavior, when Trump came out and said some things that some people on the right didn't like about vaccines, hey, you saw that people openly criticize him for it, right? That to me doesn't seem like cult-like behavior, right? But saying that you are a Fauci groupie does to me seems like cult-like behavior in my opinion. It also seems like cult-like behavior when you have people out here harassing people in the streets, right? And on airplanes and in stores and restaurants because they're not wearing a mask or they're not necessarily following the protocol. That to me seems to be more like cult-like behavior, in my opinion, right? These people on the left who, again, claim that people on the right, they're in a cult, right? You're in a cult. But every time you look, they're saying things like they're homosexuals and groupies for politicians, right? And stuff like that, okay? But people on the right are in a cult, okay? According to the liberal media. But, I'm not necessarily surprised that Nicolle Wallace has said something crazy like this because earlier this week she said something, in my opinion, that was not quite as crazy as this, but it really just shows you how triggered and bothered the mainstream liberal media gets when people criticize their other Lord and Savior, Joe Biden. Take a look.
Let me tell you why this matters. The asymmetry has always been what advantages the Trump right more than anything else. And the asymmetry of saying F you to a sitting president on a call in front of your 4 kids. Don't look past this. Don't look at this as a story about giving airtime to a MAGA guy who goes on Steve Bannon's podcast and said, I wasn't joking. Not only did I say F you, Mr. President, I said more than that. This is the slow motion insurrection, Jason, in full color.
Oh my God, guys. Wow. Incredible. Nicolle Wallace, right? Big brain take here. The Let's Go Brandon dad, the dad that told the President of the United States, let's go Brandon, which basically means F you, right? On a call with his 4 kids. That is a slow moving insurrection, right? A slow motion insurrection, whatever she said. Guys, they have nothing, right? They have nothing. And this is why the media, the mainstream liberal media, people like MSNBC, CNN, this is why they're failing, right? They always want to pick on Fox News. But one thing Fox News does not do is this garbage that MSNBC and CNN does, right? Fox News, for as much as you criticize them, they actually do talk about real legitimate stories that people care about. That's why people watch the news network, right? That's why people watch them more than these other networks, okay? What these guys do is that they talk about literally 2 things, right? January 6th and kissing Fauci's ass in the pandemic, right? 2 things that I think that people are getting over, right? I don't think people care about January 6th anymore, okay? And I think that people are getting tired of this pandemic, right? I think people are getting fatigued. I think if you ask any one of these journalists, you got them in a room and told them, hey, whatever you say doesn't leave this room, they'll tell you, yeah, I'm tired of this pandemic. Like, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of it. Okay? People are tired of it. But yet they continuously talk about this over and over and over and over and over again. And people just don't want to hear about it. They don't want to talk about it anymore, right? And this is why people aren't watching the networks, because they quite simply don't want to talk about any real issues or basically cover the Biden administration in any type of negative light. They don't want to, right? Especially after Biden allegedly went to the media and said, y'all need to stop talking about me negatively when it comes to the economy, right? They don't want to. So again, instead of that, what they do is they continue to talk about the virus, right? All day, the pandemic, okay? And they talk about January 6th. Again, two things that I think a lot of people are just done with, right? A lot of people just done with it because they quite simply have nothing else. They don't want to talk negative about Biden. They don't want to talk about the economy. They don't want to talk about inflation. They don't want to talk about the supply chain crisis. They don't want to talk about the border. They don't want to talk about crime. They don't talk about any of that stuff, right? They don't want to talk about any of the stuff that actually really matters. They simply just want to talk about things that nobody cares about anymore, right? And they will go as far as to say, let's go, Brandon, is a slow-moving insurrection, right? It's the worst thing in the world. But I guarantee you, Nicolle Wallace never did a segment like that about F Trump or Rashida Tlaib saying impeach the effer, right? And all the vulgar things that came from the left under the Trump administration. No, she had nothing to say about that. In which I could argue that the Democrats were trying to wage an insurrection against Trump with the fake Russia gate hoax, right? That to me, in my opinion, that to me seems like an insurrection, right? Trying to delegitimize the sitting president of the United States that was duly elected, okay? But hey, that's only an issue if people on the right do that. It is what it is. This is exactly why they are failing. These two clips right here from Nicolle Wallace is exactly why these people have no credibility whatsoever. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.